Giants. Go big blue, New York Giants.
God, it's great to be a Cowboy, isn't it? This is how we do stuff. It's the Cowboys. We're trying to do stuff. Really, it's time to leave the football team. It's time. It's your time.
It's our time right now. 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 It's our time right now.
He was a Giant, and he was a Cowboy. Now these two former rivals have joined forces to bring you the most insightful, perceptive, and controversial sports talk podcast in America. Former Dallas Cowboys defensive end Jim Jeffcoat locks horns with former New York Giants wide receiver Byron Williams. And now, here's Byron.
Oh, my goodness. It's Jim Jeffcoat and Byron Williams.
Good evening.
What's going on, Jim? What's going
up,
on?
Byron? What's that? I'm thinking about that song. It's our time right now.
It is our time.
It's been our time for like 26 years.
Hey, I tell you, it's our time to talk about some football. I know that.
We can talk about football, right?
Hey, we were born with footballs in our hand. I think you was in Jersey. I'm in Texas. I mean,
That's right.
Then we flipped the script. So we're here to talk about these playoffs.
Yeah, we are. And there was some great games and a lot of things going on.
Yeah.
We got obviously some of the hires in there, and we got obviously the playoff game. So let's talk about a little bit about the Giants. The Giants hired Brian DeBall.
Yeah. They brought hired the general manager, Joe.
Yeah.
They had Brian, and they said he's a great coach. And of course, you can't say nothing but about the Buffalo Bills, what they have done up there. Both gentlemen have done a spectacular job up there with the Bills, and when success draws success. So when you have success, that lead to other opportunities. So I'm excited for the Giants, looking at this draft coming up and, plugging in some players, getting some players healthy, and maybe the Giants can get back on the right note.
Here's my concern, and this is maybe not with Josh Allen. I always was concerned that Josh Allen is going to follow the same path that some of these running quarterbacks did, obviously, that we've seen over the years in the injuries, because he is a big guy. But they did have plays designed for him to run, and that's really scary with quarterbacks. And obviously, even Patrick Mahomes in the quarterback he is. Last year, he suffered an injury. And Mahomes is one play away from – I mean, not Mahomes, excuse me, Josh Allen is one play away from that injury. And hopefully – God forbid it's severe, but when you have these quarterbacks and open them up to things like that, and that's what DeBall did. He was the OC,
right,
and had those running plays for him. So that scares me a little. Is Daniel Jones? Is he going to do the same thing with Daniel Jones?
Yeah, well, we know you got to have healthy running backs in these types of offense today, and you got to have two great running backs. I mean, running backs can do spectacular things. Can come in and fill each other's time, and just look at the teams around that's having success. Most of the teams that having success got two good running backs that's in there plugging away. You look at Green Bay, you just keep naming them, Debo, them 49ers. You look at these guys and you see that even though Josh Allen is a spectacular player, quarterback, he got to have support, and he need a good running back. Two good running backs to help him. But, this year he tried to take on a lot and had a lot of success. And just look at it, man. It's hard. At one point, I always say quarterbacks, when you get 26, 27, 28, you just can't run that ball like you used to. And like Lamar Jackson, he's slowing down, injuries. And that's the thing in the National Football League. These guys out there to hit you and knock you around. And 17 games now, you got an extra game, so it's really going to be – they need to really get a good running back in this draft, the Buffalo Bills.
And then we got a comment on Daniel Jones getting injured last year, and he did get injured, and I think it was a running play.
Exactly. He started running the ball quite a bit last year and this year, and I'm just telling you, he's not physical as Josh Allen, and I'm telling you, you're going to get hurt if you run that ball and being a quarterback.
And you saw Dak Prescott didn't run as much this year.
Yeah.
Mahomes, and I know he did make some great plays running the ball.
Right.
But he didn't run, and obviously there's some situations where you got to take it if it's a man, obviously if it's man coverage and nobody's there, then you can take off, but slide and protect yourself and things of that. But that is a concern because Brian DeBall was running a college-style offense with a pro quarterback, you know.
Right. And the one thing that I like about Tom Brady, I know we're going to talk about Tom Brady in a minute, but, man, he released that ball less than 3 seconds, and he can pinpoint it in there. I think if I was the quarterback, I'd be trying to take notes from one of the GOATs.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Here we got one from my buddy Jason.
Hey, Jason.
Vikes and Harbaugh. Well, they said if Harbaugh said, they're saying, sources said if the Vikings offer him, he's going to take the job. It could be a setup for Miami, but who knows? I'll tell you what about Jim Harbaugh. You can say what you want, but the guy, he might not win the big ones, but he wins, and he understands how to get teams ready to play. The only problem you have with him, how tough is he going to be on those players? Because they done dealt with Mike Zimmer, who can be hard on players. And now is Harbaugh going to be the same way? Are they getting the same type of coach, or are they getting him now? Harbaugh is a heck of a offensive guy.
Yeah,
and he's going to play 2 tight ends, and he's going to play the power running games, and that's where he's going to have his success at.
Well, yeah, he going to definitely have to get a great defensive coordinator in there with him. I know he's going to bring some of the – if he get the job, he's going to definitely bring some of the staff from Michigan with him. But, man, you know, it's going to be interesting how the Vikings fill that gap, because I just think Vikings got a roster right now that can go deep. And, you know, they're not too far from Green Bay, huh?
Yeah, they got Kirk Cousins, coach killer.
Well, you know, I just think, you know, you have to have a quarterback in place. I don't care what nobody say. You have to have a quarterback.
I agree. And I think Kirk Cousins has talent, but he's a coach killer. Look at it. He's done it on 2 teams. He's got 2 coaches fired. He's a coach killer. And let's be honest with it. But Harbaugh has got his choices. He can stay at Michigan. He can go to, obviously, the Vikings, or he can go to Miami. So,
but you know what I like about Harbaugh? He took his bonus salary and paid his staff.
Yeah.
What coach do that? I mean, that right there says a lot about him. And that's probably why, you know, he gonna get all opportunities if he want to, or he can stay there in Michigan.
No question. Then we had Nathaniel Hackett, who came in and obviously went to Denver. He replaced Vic Fangio.
Yeah.
And Nathaniel Hackett's dad is Paul Hackett, who coached in the NFL, coached at the University of Pittsburgh, around places. He was obviously the offensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers. So the rumor is that there is a possibility that Aaron Rodgers can follow him there, because Aaron Rodgers is owed $46.5 million if he's on the roster, I think after March 1st. I'm not sure of the date.
Right.
But I'm sure the Green Bay Packers are not going to do that. They're going to try to obviously renegotiate that contract. But if Aaron Rodgers says no, then he'll be a free agent. And you know, teams like Miami, not Miami, but Tampa Bay and Denver and some of the other teams, New Orleans might come out.
Yeah, I would say New Orleans, yeah. And even they mentioned the 49ers.
Yeah, the 49ers, because Jimmy G knows he's going to be traded.
Yeah, he's said that. Yeah, he's going to be gone.
Yeah. So that's an interesting situation there. Hackett did do a good job as an offensive coordinator, and he has some experience being around his dad, obviously,
right,
being a head coach. So that gives him a little bit of an advantage. But he's still, like you said, he's got to hire a defensive coordinator, and they're talking about the safeties coach for the Rams. I can't even say his name, but he's going to possibly be his defensive coordinator. So that's a little bit dangerous. We got a first-year head coach. I don't know who he's hiring as the OC, but you're also hiring a first-year defensive coordinator. I don't care what kind of system. That's pretty tough.
That's tough. That is tough, and you know, you know, it's an interesting game. It's an interesting game if you can make those adjustments, if you can get those players to buy into the philosophy that you're getting ready to coach them. It's a lot of chemistry in that.
Yeah,
and you know, as well as the defense got to be solid all year.
Yeah.
So
I agree. But there's a lot of things going on in the NFL, rumors about coaching vacancies. Obviously, we just talked about Minnesota. We talked Denver, and we still haven't talked about Houston.
Hadn't talked about Houston. Hadn't talked about New Orleans. Hadn't talked about Miami. Hadn't talked about the Jaguars.
And everybody forgets about the Jaguars. Everybody thought it was going to be Byron Leftwich.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, that hasn't happened. And
it's something to do with the general manager and Byron relationship, not on the same page.
Yeah, Trent Baalke.
Yeah, so it could be a number of things, you know. And the one thing about football, it's kind of like a fraternity. I mean, it's these circles that you're in. You know, you get to, you know, somebody might know something about you. You don't feel good about this person, or something happened while you were playing the game. And most of these guys who's coaching been around football for a while.
Now, my understanding is that they got rid of Baalke and they brought somebody else in. I'm not sure of that, but I read that a couple of days ago.
Yeah, they did. Him. Yeah, I think they did get rid of him. Just change the whole, structure of what the direction that they want to go.
Because they couldn't get interviews because nobody wanted to. Obviously, the Harbaugh situation in San Francisco, Baalke was the GM, and it must have left a bad taste in somebody's mouth, like you said.
Yeah,
and they wouldn't. They obviously didn't want to be dealing with him, and I can understand why. Because even though he's involved in getting them hired, it might not be his guy. He's going to try to get his guy.
You know, when we talk about the one thing about NFL is circles and X's. So sometimes them old circles come back to hunt you. Sometimes those X's get you up out the door. So it's a game about circles and X's. And and you have to be real careful on how you treat and talk people. And it's all about relationships.
It really is.
About relationships.
It really is because it's such a small circle.
Yeah.
And then Houston, I think they're going to have a real hard time, even though there's only 32 jobs. I think Houston's going to have a hard time finding the right fit for them because the same reason that Jacksonville is, they have a GM. Everybody thought Josh McDaniel, and we'll go to that.
Well, they said Josh McDaniel might go to the Raiders.
He already did.
Oh, he's out there. He's at the Raiders.
Yeah, and they took they also took a New England Patriots former administrator, and they brought him out there.
Oh, that's right. That's like I read that. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is interesting. And Houston has a former, obviously, New England Patriots, but nobody seems to want to be dealing with him for whatever reason. I don't know what the reason is, and maybe a lot of it is. We'll talk about it later. What they did to David Culley after 1 year and coming in that was a unusual situation. I mean, he did a good job, and they
played well at the end of the season. I mean, the last 4 to 5 games, they played hard,
and he won more games than Dan Campbell.
Yeah,
Detroit. So that.
But it's one of the things. We talk about hiring and firing coaches and things. One of the things that we don't talk about much is the owners.
Yeah,
and the owners, we got to start talking about what are they there to do for these teams and how can they talk more. It came out this afternoon. Jerry Jones spoke about Brian Flores. He said we got to do better,
and he's right. And we're going to get on that subject in a couple minutes. But you're right about that. It's kind of, and I'll never forget this statement when I was a coach for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
But Jerry would always say this. He would tell me this. He said, there's only 4 or 5 teams in the NFL that really want to win. And I thought that was unusual, but he said it's true. He said, this is not a capitalist system in the NFL. It's a socialist system because everybody gets a certain amount of money.
Right.
And he said that takes away the competitiveness of it. He said if they really wanted to make this team competitive, the teams that win would get the the bigger money or everything.
That's something to think about.
That's not the way it works.
It don't work that way because people do get complacent.
Yeah, yeah. And here's the thing. They know how valuable those franchises are. Prime example, the Denver Broncos are going to probably sell for the most ever for an NFL franchise because they're up for sale.
They're up for sale. Yeah. $4 billion. They have $4 billion right now.
Yeah. And they'll keep going up. And that's the thing. You gotta have a worth over $6 billion just to buy one of these teams.
And then you got to get approved from the other 31 owners.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's not no cakewalk just to walk in there just because you got $10 billion.
That's true. That's true. So you're exactly right. And but it's the worst. Yeah, I can't say anything right now. The Jets.
It gonna take probably some years to fix some of these teams.
Yeah,
probably the Jets. Even though I like the new coach and the things that he brought with Zach Wilson and those guys last year, but it's just some teams it's just gonna take a while before they can get into the winning column of the playoffs.
Yeah. And you're right. Mark Davis is a prime example. And McNair down in Houston.
Yeah.
They are owners that don't get it. They have teams, but they don't understand about the whole dynamics that you were talking about in those teams. They don't understand what it takes to build a successful team.
I think they need to have me and you to go around these teams and talk to the owners. You and I can go and talk to the owners.
Yeah, that's what we need to do. No question. But they are not, they inherited the teams.
Yeah.
Obviously from there and McNair from his dad. But they didn't have, just because and that's right, the religious advisor down in Houston is running the team.
Yeah.
But they don't have the experience, they don't have the understanding of how this thing works.
Yeah.
They fell into this, obviously, the teams, and now the teams are going to suffer.
It's sometimes when you dig a hole and you're in that hole, sometimes it's hell to get out of that hole.
Yeah.
And so a lot of these owners, dug themselves some holes.
Yeah.
And they don't know how to get out of it.
Yeah, yeah. And a lot of times, here's the interesting thing. And when I think about the Dallas Cowboys and I think about Jerry Jones, Jerry Jones is a unique personality. And there's nothing wrong with Steven. Steven's a great guy and everything. But it's hard to follow guys like that because they just have that it about them. And that's not saying Steven doesn't, because he runs the day-to-day operations now. But there'll never be another Jerry Jones. And the reason I say that, there'll never be another Al Davis.
Yeah. Yeah.
These guys are unique personalities. They're a part of the I guess the fiber of the NFL.
They definitely pioneers. They definitely the fibers of what the NFL is, what we see today. They the epsilon of what we have seen today for their teams and what they have done. If you think about it, when people wear black and silver, it's the Raiders. When they wear blue and silver, it's the Cowboys. So the Star.
Yeah. And then I'm not using them because you look at the Giants with Wellington Mara as opposed to Tim Mara.
Yeah,
it's totally different.
Yeah.
I mean, in Chicago with the Howlers.
Yeah.
As opposed to
the Steelers.
The Steelers with the Roonies.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know if you put Robert Kraft in there because Robert Kraft is probably more or less the owner that's helped build the Patriots.
Well, I like about Robert Kraft, he got the coach, and they put the pieces in place in order to get the things done.
And I agree with that. So, he's kind of in that category of some of the older.
I would put Robert Kraft in that category if he didn't get in trouble back in Florida.
If he
That's what I was saying.
Having a massage.
Yeah, he getting that massage. So that messed him up. That lowered his status.
But hey,
I love massages though.
I'm not going there. That's another day. But let's talk a little bit. We haven't talked about the games last week. Let's start off with the first game with Cincinnati and Kansas City.
Man, what a game! It was two different games. The first half with Kansas City.
Yeah.
Second half was what? Cincinnati.
Yeah. Now here's my question to you: when you in that first half, Kansas City had the opportunity to kick a field goal. Yeah. They elected to go for obviously the touchdown and didn't get it. Clock runs out. Do you think that was a smart choice?
No doubt. No doubt. You got to take points. But the play that they call, you got to know that play wasn't going to never get to the end zone.
Yeah.
Kick the field goal. Always go into the locker room with the momentum.
Yeah. I would agree.
Every team that go into the locker room with point that you just got some points on your board and then you up by 20 points or whatever the case may be.
Byron, somebody's talking about you.
What they say?
There's a 2-1 deal at the Pussycat Lounge.
Well, whatever that is, you might need to go there yourself because I know more about
football. I don't know about these things. Shoot.
Pussycat Lounge, I don't know nothing about. I got 7 sisters, so I was around a lot of girls growing up, but I know my football.
But back to serious stuff. But it was just interesting because this was a tale of two games. If you look at it, the first half, obviously, we talked about Kansas City. Cincinnati was playing similar to Buffalo. Yeah. They played defense like Buffalo did that first half.
Same game plan.
Yeah. Then Cincinnati went in at the half and they adjusted, and I think they held them to what, 3 points?
3 points. They had 21 at halftime. They almost end up with 24.
Yeah. So that was interesting because whatever Cincinnati did at the half with their defense, that defensive coordinator, I think his name is Ariana, he should have got the game ball because what they did was pretty impressive to me. I thought, and they always talk about we need to change the overtime rules. We need to do that. I was saying, even I played for Buffalo, stop them on defense. Stop them on defense, and that's what Cincinnati did. Yep. They forced Mahomes to make bad plays. They forced Mahomes not to be comfortable back there. And here it goes back to my theory on these things. Cincinnati could run the ball with Mixon and Pirine. And they had them in the passing. They threw little short passes to them, and they made plays.
Pirine had a good play, too.
Yeah. Kansas City, although he ran hard, their running back ran hard, he wasn't making plays like Cincinnati's running backs.
Yeah, exactly. You know, when Mahomes tried to force the ball in there, and they got that interception, that right there just goes to show you that, you know, you just got to take what the defense give you. Yeah. And when you try to force balls in there, it takes away from you being a complete ball player. I understand trying to get the ball to playmakers and everything, but I'm telling you, you can't make mistakes. Yeah. Turnovers just change the flow of the game, and that's what happened.
Yeah, it really did. And here's an interesting thing: is that you realize that Joe Burrows and Jamar Chase,
Jamar Chase,
he have never lost a playoff game together in college or the NFL.
Yeah, they got one more to go, so we're gonna see if that goes stay true. But that right there, that's outstanding.
Yeah, and listen to this: if Joe Burrows wins this, he'll be the only quarterback who's won the Heisman and won a national championship to win a Super Bowl championship. He'll be 3 quarterbacks: Joe Montana, Joe Namath, to win a national championship. He'd be the third one.
Maybe
win
third
the national championship. that's won a national championship in college.
And then win a Super Bowl.
Super Bowl, yeah. He'd be
Wow.
one of 3. That's pretty impressive.
That'd
There's
be
something
very
about that kid. There's something about that kid. He's just
absolutely.
one of those guys. You don't think he can do it, but he finds a way to get it done.
But one of the things that that you can know for sure is his heart. Man, he plays with heart.
Yeah, he does.
I mean, he was actually sacked by Jones, and he literally got out of there, and that was the turning point.
Yeah, it was. It was. And it's something that, like I said, it's something. Some guys have that it factor. When they walk out there, you know you're in the game. And he's one of those guys. I mean, that outfit he wore to the game was even cool.
Hey, he from a different mode. He come in. That's something like I would wear. You know, that's something. Like, you know.
And he looking. I said, man, he's pretty.
You see that hat? It's orange hat. I'm kind of like it. I forgot. I got the fingers on. I got the finger colors on.
But it's something about that guy, and I don't know if he's gonna win the Super Bowl because we'll talk about that a little.
But you know, another thing about him too, his high school named the stadium out there.
Yeah,
hey, man.
Yeah.
I like those are good stories there, man. That just give you chills bumps when you talk about Joe, you know. Yeah. And it's not bad calling your son Joe this day and time.
Yeah.
So you said Joe Namath, Joe Montana, and Joe, Joe.
Right.
Man.
Yeah.
Oh,
they call him Joe.
He might want to smoke a cigarette after the Super Bowl.
Yeah, dude. Did you see the photo of his dad, Burrow's dad, and Jamar Chase's dad had the cigars?
I didn't see that one.
It was pretty cool. And then after the game, Ickey Woods came up to Joe Burrows and congratulated him. Joe Burrow started doing the Ickey shuffle.
Hey man, I always see Ickey at the Super Bowl. Me and Ickey be doing the shuffle.
Yeah.
So whoever talked about that Pussycat Lounge, me and Ickey being in the Pussycat Lounge. Now take that and your pipe and smoke it.
Yeah. Now let's go on to the next game. The next game was obviously LA Rams against 49ers.
Right.
And I thought that was a great game. And I thought that you had 2 teams that played outstanding defense, first of all.
Yeah.
And they played the way the game's supposed to. All 4 teams did. But I really enjoyed watching the Rams and the 49ers going out. And, you know, I played both in the NFC and the AFC like you did. But I just thought that they were really fighting to get to the Super Bowl, both teams.
They was, man. Both teams deserved to play. And, man, it was like we talked about last week. It go down to the team that got the ball last, you know. Yeah. And because everybody was just the atmosphere in the air. I mean, players putting it on the line. I mean, people, you know, you could just say, man, what a game. What a game. So it's just exciting to see, you know, the 49ers having a heck of a year like they did. And, you know, and the Rams, man, with the youngest coach in the league, the excitement that they have. There's a guy on the Rams staff that I knew, his name Marcus Dixon. He played, he's coaching there. And, you know, I just said, you know, I'm happy for him. I texted him and congratulated him. You know, he getting the chance to get a Super Bowl ring this year on that staff. And just a lot of good things for both teams, you know. Yeah.
They're both talented teams. Obviously, at the end, the big-time players, they said the change in the game was Aaron Donald. He came and he ripped the defense. He ripped them about how they were playing. And he wasn't just ripping them. He took his play to another level. Because the interesting thing about the Rams, they're more of a penetrating defense.
Yeah.
In the field and everything. And they were playing more technique sound. And then they said, forget this. We just got to take it to
it. And I know you're going to talk about that defensive line. And I'm going to let you go ahead and talk a little bit about Aaron Donald because they played a heck of a game.
Yeah.
And then on the flip side, that number 10, man, Cooper Kupp, man, he can get the MVP easy this year. What an awesome year. Salute to him. Congratulations to Cooper Kupp. And then Odell Beckham, man, I'm happy for him.
And that's why I owe you an apology. I thought that Odell Beckham was done.
I told you that.
He was that. You did tell me that. You did tell me.
he just, I'm glad he's with the right team.
Yeah.
I think just going through what he had to go through, and sometimes when players sit out or go through some trials and some tribulations, some ups and downs, and when you get these moments, and it's just a shining moment, man. So you don't get too many opportunities.
Now, Beckham's dad is from Texarkana. That's why you like him.
Oh, yeah. He got that deep root, man. That deep root to catch. Got that hard, man. That's hard.
But, but he did play well, and he has really showed up for him. Now, they do have their tight end, Higbee, and probably won't play in the Super Bowl. That's going to be a damage. But that backup tight end, he played good. I forgot his name.
Yeah, he's number 86. He played an outstanding game, man. He came through.
He really did for him. He really did, because the other receiver, Washington, was injured.
Yeah, he was injured. And you got
Jefferson,
Jefferson. And you got to take your hat off of Matthew Stafford, man.
Oh, yeah. And I thought he was just like, because he had all those stats from being in Detroit, but he did show up.
He played a great game. He played a great game. And Cooper Kupp, man, you just can't double him. You can triple him. He's still gonna get open. Yeah. And he can catch that ball sideways, upside down.
Yeah, he just makes plays.
He makes plays.
And he's a great story, because basically his wife took care of him in college, so he could go to school.
Yeah.
Everything. So
great story. Great story, man. You just love those stories. And that's the best part of the Super Bowl, going to the Super Bowl, leading up to the Super Bowl. You hear these stories that's really good, man, because we all have had these testimonies and these tests of times. And man, when you get to this true, and you hear these stories, and next week or two you're gonna hear stories about players and hometown players, hometown heroes, coaches. You're gonna they're gonna talk about high school coaches, some of the teachers.
Oh yeah.
It's just a big part of your journey.
Oh, no question. It is. And you're right about that. You're going to hear great stories about them, and you got 2 weeks to prepare for it.
Right.
But here's the thing is, I didn't get the opportunity to play into a Super Bowl until my 10th year in the NFL. And it was the most unbelievable. And the majority of our team had never played in the Super Bowl, even though we had some stars, the Michael Irvins, obviously the Emmitt Smiths, the Troy Aikmans, but nobody had been there. Charles Haley had been there.
Right.
Charles Haley had played there, and he knew the things that we had to prepare for. And when we prepared for those, first of all, we had a curfew on Wednesday. Wednesday night was the last night you could be out.
Okay.
I guarantee you by 11 o'clock, everybody was in their rooms, and everybody was prepared. The whole week preparing for that Super Bowl, the first Super Bowl we went to.
Right.
That was the best practices we had all year, which is unusual at the end of the year. We weren't going there just to be there. We were going there to win. And that's the mentality that we had taken. And that was a lot due to Charles, because he had already been to 2 Super Bowls with the 49ers.
Right.
So that helped us prepare for that. And it was unbelievable when you see that, and you've been involved in that, the F-16s.
Oh, yeah.
Come over, and they're coming low. That's why I like outdoor stadiums.
Yeah.
Because you get those F-16s coming low, you hear that engine going.
Yeah.
Halftime, although you don't get to see it, Michael Jackson ran through our locker room, Diana Ross, and you got like, whoa.
Yeah.
I mean, you realize that you're the only game
in town.
And we obviously
billions of people watching.
Yep, billions. I mean, everybody you
Not
ever
millions, but billions now.
Yeah, everybody you ever known has watched. And you're sitting there and it's like, wow, I'm really here.
But you know what? I'm glad you're giving people the truth, meaning, and feeling of what you had to go through the week.
Yeah.
How you had to get focused, how you had to eliminate all the distractions, and people are calling you about Super Bowl tickets.
Exactly.
Like that. Yeah, so
exactly. We got all that done early.
You got all that out the way.
Because Jimmy had won national championships.
Right.
So he got all that stuff out of the way early. He said, hey, get this stuff. I want all this stuff done by Tuesday. If they ain't got it by Tuesday, they ain't getting it. That was it. And we focused on the game.
And that's good to note that, because people got to realize that this is once in a lifetime.
Oh, no question. And some people don't. They think it's about them.
Yeah.
But it's about being on that field, having the opportunity to play in this game and getting the opportunity. I was blessed enough to play in two. If you ask me, my favorite one is obviously going to be in the Rose Bowl because it was outside. When we played,
just flying over, like you say.
Exactly. When we played in Atlanta, it was a different feeling, and it's the Super Bowl, but because we had been there, Buffalo had been there 4 times. This was their 4th time, but we weren't the hunters anymore. We were the hunted all year.
Y'all got hunted down.
It was a little different experience from that standpoint, and it wasn't as fun as the first time. And like everything else, the first time you do it is great, and it's you still want to do it again, but it was unbelievable that first time. The second time, we had to work to get there. Yeah, and everybody was trying to hunt us down.
But you know, the good thing too is 2 weeks. It'd be an extra week leading into the Super Bowl. What do you think about that? How's that extra week?
I like that. I like that because you get a chance to love the experience, get everything in the experience, and get a lot of the emotions out. And now you can focus on what you need to do to be successful. Just like the Rams know, obviously they're playing at home, but they're going to be dressing in the visitors' locker room because they're the visiting team. And then Cincinnati, they're young. They don't know what they're about to experience, but they're getting that opportunity.
Yeah.
They have to prepare for it. The Rams have been to the Super Bowl. Obviously, they lost to who did they lose to? Oh, Kansas City.
Yeah, Kansas City. Yeah, 3 years ago. 3 years ago.
They lost to Kansas City. It's going to be a good game, I think.
So you're dealing with the media and all these people like Media Day, and you got the storyline. You got people from New Jersey, sports writers coming up to you. You got a whole lot of things you have to think about and talk about. So how is that Media Day?
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. They ask you questions. There was this one guy that always asks you, if you were a tree, what kind of tree would you be? And I don't know. Shoot. I don't know. Oak tree. Why an oak tree?
That's what I would say, oak tree, because you can burn me firewood. You know, I can last a lot longer.
And I said it's big and strong. That's what I would tell him. But he asked
everybody really big. Yeah.
Yeah. And he'd ask everybody that question. Why? And I thought that was interesting, but they'd ask you a lot of questions about, things that you don't really think about. And you say, hey, man, I'm just here to play football. I'm not about
you just want to win that Super Bowl. Yes.
Yeah. And then the great thing about it is you get to go to the White House. They started that again, and you get to meet the president. You get to meet all the senators, people you've seen over the years. You got that opportunity. So those things are some of the things that you experience.
Yeah, and that's really good. That's a lifelong experience. Pictures and things that you can always cherish and put in your house, in the trophy room, and all that good stuff.
And then also, somebody asked about the championship game. I would have rather, honestly, lost in the championship game than lose in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
there's something about it. You get to that final game and to lose in it is really, it takes a toll on you. And Buffalo had a great talent, and I played with those guys, and they were very talented, but I'm sure that took an effect on them. Not winning any of those. It's kind of like the Minnesota Vikings before them.
Yeah. I want to ask you, like this year, for example, the Buffalo Bills, they losing some coaches, things like that. You think it's gonna be hard for them to when they start off next year, replacing some of those coaches and of course, success drive other things and other factors for your team. So do you think that replacing those coaches like Brian, Debo, and those guys?
They put Ken Dorsey, and they promoted him the offensive coordinator. And it looks like a lot of the moves that they made on Buffalo are people that were in the on the coaching staff internally. So that should help make more continuity. Obviously, there's going to be different guys. And I think they brought in Joe Brady on one of them. Maybe I brought that for Buffalo. So that's the thing. It is difficult when you do that because we lost Butch Davis, and then we lost Dave Wanstead. First, we lost Dave Wanstead, and he took our offensive line coach, Tony Wise, and then we got Hudson Houck, who is a tremendous coach, and we started bringing in other ones. But it is and that's just a part of success. You have success, you're going to lose coaches, and you better have ideals on how you're going to replace them.
Yeah, that's a good point. Good point.
Now, we got 20 minutes. I figured I'd say this. First of all, this Super Bowl is obviously going to be big for the team, Cincinnati and Rams. I don't have a pick now. I'm going to have to look at it, but the Rams.
I already got a pick. Yeah. I'm picking a team that they think they ain't gonna win.
Cincinnati.
That's what I'm picking.
Yeah, it's something about them, and I don't know right now. We'll talk about it a little bit.
It's a 5-hour game.
Yeah. They
got young players.
Yeah.
I'm going with youth.
But I mean, that defensive line for the Rams.
I know you were gonna say that.
Look at it. Can they protect them well enough to do that? But I'm gonna look at it and I'll give you an answer next week. But let's go to what's really going on in the NFL. And we all know Brian Flores has a suit against the NFL for discrimination.
Right.
And what he brings is some strong allegations. I mean, what's happening with Miami, the owner, Stephen Ross, telling him basically that he gave him $100,000 to tank games.
Yeah.
Then illegally brought Tom Brady in, trying to get him in, and Brian Flores wouldn't go along with it, and things like that.
They say they got evidence, they got text messages and things like that, but they got to just got to go and prove it. But it's unfortunate that the game that came down to this. It's all about integrity. Whoever worked the hardest should get the rewards. Another thing too that I say about these coaches, I don't care if you're black or white or whatever. I think these owners need to get these guys at least 4 to 5 years to go in and prove themselves, because just the change, the free agency, all the things you have to deal with the draft, just getting your team ready. You got the COVID situation, you got injury situation. It's a whole lot of factors that goes into you winning and losing games. And this year, a lot of games were lost by a margin of 3 points, 4 points. But, also, you put in a rule, the Rudy rule, the way you need to legitimately interview people for an opportunity to advance in life. Yeah. So at the end of the day, you want to give people opportunity to prove themselves. And if a guy who been at it hard and got the recognition, getting the #1 defense, #1 offense rated, you're doing your job. That's why some of these guys getting these jobs. But to me, back when we played, you got coaches that coached 10, 8 years all the time. That was just the norm. Now you got a guy that might coach 1 year and he's gone. Yeah,
and that's what I was going to talk about. With Flores was an interesting situation. His first year of coaching, he was 9-7, or he was 9-7.
Yep.
And then his second year, he had one more game, and he was 9-8. He had never had a losing record as a coach.
Right.
And I think there's some validity what he's saying. Now, what bothers me, and that's with your team, is the text messages from Belichick.
Yeah.
And this was 2 days before he was going to interview with the Giants, basically telling that he had the job. And then he figured out he was talking to the wrong guy and said, "Oh, man, I messed up." And that wasn't the words he used. But he thought he was talking to Brian DeBall instead.
Right.
So it was a sham. They were bringing him in. And then he was talking about Vic Fangio. When Vic Fangio got the job at Denver, he was basically saying that they weren't they were late to the meeting, which they denied, the Broncos, and that they were drinking before the meeting. And I mean, that's really bad there. Now, Flores has proved that he's a good coach. He's the only coach who has a winning record against Belichick.
Yeah.
He proved that, and on his merits, he should have had the opportunity, I think. And it's kind of one of those quiet secrets. It's just that some guys, I mean, you bring them in because of the Rooney Rule, but if you're not going to give me a legitimate shot, that's a waste of time for you and for me.
And I think a lot of things happen for a reason. I mean, maybe this is the reason why we can get it right. You know, we talked about it earlier. You know, we got people that come in about, you know, sometimes your faults will find you out. And so if you're a snake in the grass, it's gonna eventually show. But you know, when you talk about coaches and everybody know in this line of business, it's what have you done for me lately? It's about winning. And it's about these owners getting new stadium. And it's about them filling up the stands. And so it's until you play in the NFL, you really won't know how it really is behind those closed doors.
And that's true.
And I know when the owners, you know, I'm with the NFL Players Association. I know when the owners go into these meetings, you know, it's a rough time in that meeting sometimes to talk about things.
Yeah, and somebody just put up there, can we just be honest? It's not going to work that way. It's not there. They know they have to follow the Rooney rules.
Yeah, they put that there for.
And some of that it was meant to be a positive, but some of these people are going to be a sham. It's going to be a sham, and that's just the reality of it. It is, and it's there because they were never going to hire this guy. They just needed that guy, obviously, to get who they wanted to, and we proved that with what went on with the Giants.
Yeah,
Ball, and that's not Brian's fault. The ball, he didn't make this system this way, and it's
exactly.
Kind of sad. I've coached in the NFL. I coached in college, and I don't see. I hope things change, and just take whoever's the best. I mean, Flores proved that he was a good coach.
Yeah.
And he was that and he helped it, like we said. I mean, they were 1-7, and to go 9-8. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
But then another thing for the owner to say, I give you $100,000 to start losing games.
And now,
if this stuff come out, man, they got to do something drastic in the NFL to clean this stuff up.
Oh yeah. Now here's the problem: is you're getting. And the NFL is getting hit at every direction. The thing with John Gruden, was that fair? 11 years ago, something was written right or wrong. How you agree or disagree, was that right? Now they got this, and now Hugh Jackson's coming out, and he has proof that this went on in Cleveland. They were tanking games. They were telling them to tank games. And he said that everybody asked him, well, why didn't you say something early? He said, I did. Nobody listened. I don't know if he's telling the thing, but he said, I do have verified facts that we got bonuses. And I'm thinking, wow. And they talk about players throwing games. Now we got owners throwing games.
Well, you know, it's just like they say, to be continued.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot out there that they're going to probably come up and you're going to say, wow, can't believe this. And if so, they need to clean it up.
Yeah, this is opening up a can of worms.
Yeah.
And it's not just the discrimination, but this could be a legal problem if they find out you're throwing games. $100,000 for every game you lose. Can you imagine that? $100,000.
That's the gambling part of it now.
Yeah.
What the players union can do about it? Well, definitely the player union is all about the players and making sure that the players' wellness is the most important thing. We got these mental problems and these things that's happening off the field when players get in trouble during the season. So, we got a good players committee of guys on there, 12 guys that's executive guys that really help the current players. And then on my side, the former players, we talk about issues and things that we can help, but we don't talk about the coach's situation like that. It's mainly just the benefits for the players and making sure that the players are well taken care of. Are they getting the help that they need or the support that they need with their benefits?
Yeah, I think this puts certain teams in a bad light. Obviously, the Giants situation, and then also Denver, Miami, and things of that. And that's interesting because with Miami is Stephen Ross is what we said, a huge Michigan alumni, and he said he wasn't going to go after Harbaugh. But now Harbaugh says they're saying the rumors say he might go to Minnesota.
Right.
It is there is no we don't know what's going to happen. Somebody asked what the games have an effect on the player. Of course.
Yeah, it definitely do, but it's kind of hard to prove the guys are throwing the guys are throwing the game.
But it's not the player.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, usually if we got a guy that throwing the game or throwing the play, they usually gonna address that inside their own behind the closed doors. Yeah. I mean, those things have been addressed behind closed doors.
What bothers me on this whole situation is we have rules and set for the players, but what rules do we have for the owners? Obviously, the Washington Commanders, the
Washington Commanders,
they had an issue with their owner.
Yeah,
they basically suspended them for the year.
Right.
But is it fair? Is it fair for both sides?
And then the Washington team have hired a lot of minorities in the front office as well. So they have tried to do some things the right way. And those are things that probably need to be adjusted and talked about constantly.
Yes. Yeah, no question. Yeah.
As soon as the Super Bowl is over, they're gonna have an owners meeting. You know, these guys need to address that. They need to come out and talk to the media about it, and they need to get off behind these closed doors.
Yeah, and that bothers me is the integrity of the game, because you look at the game as a former player.
Yeah.
And you see some things that are going on now, and you wonder, have they been going on? Some of the things we know, but we wonder were teams really throwing games.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's something, and that's the integrity.
That was something heard about. That was something heard about in the NBA. You didn't hardly hear that.
And Mark Cuban has said it. Mark Cuban would say that.
Yeah,
they were trying to get a draft pick, and they did. But you're right. And that's the thing that's concerning about it.
It's kind of hard to throw a game in the NFL. I mean, I can't see.
I would think.
I can't see me going out there running around, dropping the ball on purpose.
I would think.
Because they're going to cut your butt.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly right. But
you know, too, what I love about football, a lot of your incentives is tied into the performance. If you catch 50 balls, you might get an extra 100 grand or 200.
That's what I'm saying.
So those are things that I love about the game of football. They got some things in our contract to make sure that they're legit for performance on and off the football field.
Yeah, but I guess my point is say if we remember in the Buffalo game, at the end of the game, the kicker kicked the ball into the end zone, and it was 14 seconds left, no time off the clock.
Right.
What if it was a situation where he would have he could have said that the coach told him to do that, as opposed to kick a squib kick, and he was looking at it. Hey, if we keep it in within this, I can win $100,000. I can win $200,000. I'm not saying that happened, but that's things that you can do in football. From a coach's standpoint, you can call a bad play and say, hey, I just made a mistake. And I'm not saying that's what happened, but
you're exactly right. That was a situation that obviously shouldn't have kicked the ball through the end zone.
Yeah. And I'm just saying they could have shaved points.
But they did say that Grump caught a pass from Brady and made another $100,000. He needed one more catch a couple of games ago. You know, you hear stuff like that.
Yeah, but that's different.
But I'm just saying, still though, it's part of the incentive package, and it ties into do you throw games on purpose, or are you trying to help guys get a certain amount of money?
Because they were going to try to do that for Antonio Brown, if you remember. Yeah. If he wouldn't have, ran off with his shirt off.
But you know, I'm so glad that some things are coming out and need to be addressed.
They do.
It's due. It's due. It's just like, you know, you set up the Rudy rule for a purpose so teams can get legitimate interviews for players, potential players that gonna get hired.
Yeah, and you're right. You're exactly right. And these things come out and they have to be addressed. They can't be swept under the rug anymore.
Yeah.
And Flores probably will never coach in the NFL. I'm hoping he will, but he probably won't. But he has affected the NFL like no one ever has, because he told the hidden secrets.
He done hit a button that nobody ever hit before. And he might go to Houston though. He might end up being coaching down in Houston. I don't know. I'm just joking.
I know, but
yeah,
I would think that it was interesting in the Houston situation after what they did to Cully.
Yeah,
I don't know if I would want to interview there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the thing that happens. Why would you want to interview where they took a coach that he wasn't in the greatest situation? He came in and stabilized the situation, and they fired him because they wanted a different offensive coordinator, and he refused to do it. I mean, you have to have loyalty to your staff. Yeah,
you really do, and just give a guy 1 year is not really good.
Yeah, it isn't, and I really think that bothered me. And even like you said, and I know Joe Judge and all these guys and Vic Fangio, 3 years is not enough.
I mean,
in the salary cap era,
they need to start docking the owners or something for getting these guys. You know, if you're gonna let a guy come in and coach your team, give him at least 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, and that was Al Davis's thing. He thinks that, you know, in 4 or 5 years, you got to get things done.
But you know what? But you know what, Jim? These guys are signing a 4-year contract, and they still having to pay them guys out of the contract.
Like Cully gets $17 million.
Yeah, he's getting $17 million.
Still, you want to work. You don't want to take it as a coach. That's what you're there for.
It's kind of like giving a man $1 million and telling him to go out there and work 8 hours. He went out there and work for 2 minutes.
That's right. That's true. That's true. It's a different world we live in, because it's just like what you see on TV. Everything is instant. There's nothing that's solved in an hour or 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening in business. We got to solve it in an hour or 30 minutes or you'll be gone. That's just the reality of it.
You know, I just hope the integrity of football can be what it's supposed to be, you know, and that goes on every level.
And then it's so wealthy now, just how these franchises are. There's not a lot of patience with people. Yeah, and that's wrong. There's obviously Pittsburgh is very patient, and then to a certain extent, Jerry Jones is very patient. Believe it or not, he doesn't fire people on a whim. That's why I knew that McCartney would be back. He just doesn't do that.
They have had quite a few coaches since Tom Landry.
Well, they had Jimmy Johnson, they had Switzer, they had Chan Gailey, Dave Campbell,
Will Parcells,
Wade Phillips, and Jason Garrett.
Yeah, I mean,
they didn't know. None of them was fired after 1 year.
But still, though, that's, to me, Jerry Jones is about making some changes since they built the stadium.
Yeah, but I guess what I'm saying is look at the Giants. They fired 2 coaches in 2 years and 4 years.
Yeah.
That's kind of unusual.
They don't fire a lot of coaches too. I mean, if you look at all these teams,
that's right.
Pittsburgh still has been probably on, and the New England Patriots.
And the Patriots, yeah. So that is true. That is true. But before Robert Kraft purchased the team, they fired quite a few.
Yeah, exactly.
And they stabilized it when Kraft purchased the team.
Yeah. But it's at the end of the day, it's still kind of a young man game. I mean,
it is.
You're looking for some young horses.
No question. Well, we're in the victory thing, and just real quick as a credit to Tom Brady.
Oh yeah,
Brady is obviously he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's probably the most accomplished quarterback that's ever played the game, and you have to always give credit to somebody.
I think he's gonna go back and sign a 1-day contract with New England and make them feel good up there.
Sounds good. Is that it? Next week, I'm gonna bring a new game.
You gonna do a break dance?
I'm gonna break dance.
I think I'm the best dancer so far.
In your dreams. Hey, thank you for joining us this evening.
All right, we'll see you.
All right. Bye.